What's up, Jets fans? Welcome to the latest edition of Jets Latest, where you get the latest on the Jets, Jets. I'm your host, the spitting statistician, Dane Martinez, and training camp has arrived. I know you Jets fans are excited. I can see it in the comments. I can see that palpable buzz. We have been talking about kind of a new regime, a new environment, a new standard, a new aggression, a new confidence that has come, and we are going to start to see that come to pass now that training camp is going. But what I want to talk about today is really the leadership of the Jets. We've talked about Muji. We've talked about Aaron Glenn. I want to talk about the leadership on the field. We all know about Justin Fields, who we believe is going to be our QB1, the franchise quarterback, and that he can kind of prove itself in his second act. We've talked about his development and all that. But I want to talk about the homegrown leaders on this Jets squad. We've talked about how Sauce Gardner and Garrett Wilson got their extensions, how Quinnen Williams also got to his second contract, and how these guys are all rated as per PFF and rankings as elite Pro Bowl caliber players. And what I think is important is that all three of them were in front of the mic early in training camp when they were reporting to camp, really kind of consistent voice talking about what it means to be a Jet, what the expectations are as a Jet for themselves and for the team, and kind of, in essence, mimicking the stuff we have heard from Aaron Glenn all offseason. That culture, that environment, I think is important, and it is consistent. Let's start with Garrett Wilson, who, as we know, got the bag about a week and a half ago at $32.5 million a year, now one of the 5 or 6 highest paid wide receivers in the NFL. What I think is important is he still talks about like not resting on his laurels, that there is still more to prove. Check out what Garrett Wilson has to say. He goes, honestly, that's the part that gets me the most excited, is that I still have a lot of plays left to go to prove myself to my teammates and to this league, playing meaningful football. You said the next thing? That's the thing. That's the only thing. I feel like I haven't done anything yet. Let's play meaningful football. That's all. I can't talk about wanting to make the playoffs. The actions got to match up with that. I think that's really important. He's saying, listen, I may have the money, but we haven't accomplished anything yet, right? The playoffs, that's where we need to go as a team. And quite frankly, I think he's going to be able to have better statistics himself as an individual. Remember, he put all that up with Devontae Adams getting about 150 targets on the other side of the field. Now he's going to be this true alpha. The other part that I think is interesting, check this out. He had 14 touchdowns in his first 3 years with the Jets, but he did that getting touchdowns from Zach Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, Tyrod Taylor, Mike White, Joe Flacco, and others, right? Now, he's got his college quarterback, Justin Fields. They are clearly boys. That familiarity, that's part of what they wanted to be together, right? And Garrett Wilson caught 11 touchdowns in 2 seasons with the Buckeyes from Justin Fields. So that kind of stability, familiarity, I think that also goes to help Garrett Wilson. And so I think there's a lot of reasons why Garrett Wilson is wheels up. And that's probably why we needed to pay him now instead of at the end of this year, where maybe he would have been viewed even higher. But again, Garrett Wilson, kind of referencing, we haven't done anything. I want to play meaningful football. Yeah, I can be better. There's still more for me to do, and it's really about team success. Talking about the team, talking about the expectations, that is also the case with Sauce Gardner. I think this is interesting also. The unselfishness. Sauce Gardner was asked about, if you remember, Garrett Wilson and Sauce Gardner got their contract extensions on back-to-back days, right? And Sauce actually shared that he had his deal ready to go. He knew it was going to be signed, but he wanted to allow Garrett Wilson to have the shine. Check this out. He goes, I was very excited, so I called him. The Jets had sent my offer, and I knew I was going to be the highest paid DB, but I say, I don't want to do my deal today. I told my team I want Garrett to have his day. We were excited, and we're going to make it feel like we are underpaid. So still, like, great. We got our money, we're cool, but we still have more to do. We still want to make it seem like we are overperforming that, like we are worth more than that. And I think the unselfishness there from Sauce Gardner, right? But then also, listen, again, expectations for himself, but really focus more around the team. Listen to what Sauce says. He goes, I want to be the best. That's not just this season, but in general. That's the legacy I want to leave. I want to win games, and I think we have the players, the coaches, and everything it takes to win games and to win a lot of games. I know my individual accolades will come with us winning games. So again, that unselfishness, right? Putting the team success, the team goals, winning playoffs in front of his own contract, in front of his own, accolades. Remember, I told you about being the highest rated PFF cornerback in the league. I told you about being defensive rookie of the year when he came into the league. Same with Garrett Wilson, offensive rookie of the year. I told you about maybe a value of Sauce Gardner at 75-1 to be the defensive player of the year this year. I know it's usually an edge rusher, a sack getter, but remember, Pat Surtain was a defensive player of the year last year, and Sauce Gardner is rated better than him. Remember also, Sauce Gardner is going to be put in positions to make more plays this year with the defense of Aaron Glenn playing man coverage, with the blitzing scheme of Steve Wilkes, and Sauce has talked about that a lot. So, hey, if you want a long shot, Sauce at 75-1 for DPOY is very interesting. But again, they're all talking about what that expectation is and how they all have confidence, not only in themselves, not only in the teammates, but in the coaching staff, the culture, and the building. And sometimes, that's why I also thought it was really important that Sauce and that Garrett Wilson were at minicamp, were at OTAs, when their contracts were still up in the air. Their extensions hadn't happened yet. Why? Because they wanted to be part of this. They wanted to show that signal that they were down to work, that they believed, and then the organization kind of showed them that confidence right back. And the other one I want to talk about is Quinnen Williams. We talk about Sauce, we talk about Garrett Wilson, we talk about Justin Fields, we talk about all these guys, but Quinnen Williams is a multiple-time Pro Bowler. Quinnen Williams is one of the best interior defensive linemen in this league. He also steps forward as a leader with the same exact voice. Listen to what Q had to say about winning and the kind of process to get there. He goes, I'm hungry to win a football game. I'm hungry to win more than 7 games. Man, I came from Bama, and the winning aspect at Bama, it was every single game we expected to win. That hunger lives in me to this day. I'm about the process. Every single week can I win. Every single day can I win. Those small wins will add up to the big wins like potential playoffs, but I got to focus on getting better every single day. From what I've seen at OTAs, the expectation is to be disciplined, to play hard, to work hard. I think the number one thing is playing smart football and executing to the highest level. And the reason I love this, these are the homegrown leaders of the organization. They are all talking about raised expectations, okay? You got to expect that you can do it. And every team, I know it's training camp, all 32 teams are like, yeah, we can win the Super Bowl. But you got to have that real belief in it, right? I also like that they're all unselfish. I also like that they're all talking about putting in the work. These are Pro Bowl caliber players talking about how they need to get better, how they have goals to get better, right? And then there's also this kind of quiet confidence. Almost swagger, I would say. You know how Aaron Glenn and others have talked about that with Justin Fields as well, right? So this quiet confidence, but not skipping any steps. And that's what I also say to the Jets fan, okay? Listen, we're not going to go 13-4 this year. We're not going to go 12-5 this year. We're not going to skip steps, but we are building something, and it takes the environment, it takes the culture shift, it takes the new standard and leadership, and that's another part that I think is important. This hunger that we talk about. I think part of that was strategic from Glenn and Muji as well. And I've been talking about that on Jets Latest, right? This idea that they consistently signed young guys that had shown flashes, that have the talent, but maybe were thrown aside in other places in the NFL, are looking for their second act, whether it's Justin Fields, right? Whether it's a guy, quite frankly, like Derek Nottie or Byron Cowart, whether it's a guy, like a Stone Smart at the tight end position or a Cisco, right? And they have been Brandon Stevens, they've been identified as guys who can fit, who have the character attributes that we want and can grow together. You add on to that guys who fit, guys who have that aggression, guys who have that character in the draft. We talk about A.Z. Thomas from Florida State, how Florida State didn't do well last year, but everybody talks about how A.Z. Thomas showed that character throughout. We talk about, the versatility of a Malachi Moore, the working hard to overcome issues of an Arian Smith, right? So all of those things together, I believe, really forms a culture, but this takes time to build, and I think Muji and Glenn were intentional about bringing guys in the building. You've heard Aaron Glenn talk about this, that's what they want in the building, in uniform, and it is so important to have the leaders of the organization on the field be speaking with the same voice. So that'll do it for this episode of Jets Latest. But again, thank you to everybody who contributes to the channel, all the subscribers, the people who like the videos, watch the videos, who comment in the videos, and listen to what people are saying here in the comments. Mario Bautista, 9964 says, let's go. Jets, 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 Jets. I just got my number 7 jersey. I have faith this season is going to be special. Old Dave 1000 says, I'm looking forward to the season. Keep up the good work. Thank you. I appreciate you guys. And a lot of the comments are positive, saying you like the energy, the optimism, yet the kind of football information and realism that happened here on Jets Latest. So I appreciate all of you. And then Sharon McLean, who's always in the comments, big shout out to Sharon, says, good day to the ordained minister of Jets content. I am the spitting statistician Dane Martinez, but I'll take the ordained minister as well. But one thing I know, please watch these videos, like these videos, subscribe to the channel, and now as more and more people are getting ready for football season, tell a Jets fan friend to tell a Jets fan friend. And listen, if you want more from me, I am the host of the FTN Fantasy Show over on SiriusXM on Channel 87. We're getting you ready for fantasy football as well. FTN Fantasy is a great website with a lot of rankings, content, tools, so much stuff to get you to become a better fantasy football player and a better sports bettor. If sports betting is what you are into, check me out on Sports Grid TV. I host a show called In Game Live, where we go around the sports landscape every night, find the kind of live betting opportunities for you to win a little bit of cash. But if you want to just keep it locked on the green and white, Jets Latest is the place to be. Thank you to the subscribers. Thank you to the viewers. Thank you to the positive comments. You could always hit me up on Twitter or social media at Spittin' Speeds as well. We will be here next week when really training camp is in full swing. We'll be talking about who is shining, who is flashing, where maybe position battles are going to be, and what people are saying at one Jets drive during training camp as this 2025 season really gets into gear, or at least training camp and preseason, where we continue to build this foundation of what should be an exciting season. All right, have a great weekend. We'll be back next week to be sure, but for now, we out of here. Peace.